of shame, Toastmasters City.
Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. This book introduced me to my love of writing to-do list. I used to write to-do list every day and soon the book became a journal. I started writing my affirmations, my feelings and even my goals in this journal. And I carried this very same book everywhere. Office, home, even when I went on a vacation. Just so convenient to carry one book, right? And this journal soon transitioned from a physical book to a digital book. Convenience was my one big mistake. And today I wish to share this mistake with you all. Once I was assigned a Japanese project wherein we were to transfer jobs from Japan to other countries, and I was project managing this transfer. So of course people in Japan hated me. I was taking away their jobs. I woke up every morning with an escalation on me, and to add to it there was terrible internal office politics. So what do? I start journaling every day. I wrote names of people who made my life miserable. I wrote what actions of theirs is making my life miserable, and I also wrote what am I doing to overcome it. And then a thought came to my mind. Why not transform this journal into an interview preparation sheet? I was certain to look for another job after this project. I made potential responses to so many interview questions that can be asked. And it turned out to be amazing. Such rich experience, all written in one document. Now the mistake. I made this journal in my office laptop and I emailed it to my personal ID. I have seen my boss and my colleagues transfer office data to their personal ID all the time. So I did this even without thinking once. And it was all my experience of the project, not company data. In a routine information security audit, my email was picked up. And they found one line in the document that was actually company data. Out of hundreds of lines, just one line. I was called in by security and HR, put up in a room, questioned for hours together like I was a criminal. My personal ID was thoroughly scanned, but because they did not find any malicious attempt of me sharing this information ahead to someone or using it in any way to harm the company, they had to release me back to my normal routine work with the only condition that complete some additional information security trainings. I felt very guilty. I profusely apologized to the security team. And I completed the trainings as requested. The head of the department back then called me, Siti, you need to learn smarter ways of transferring data. Come, let me show you some ways. Ideally, this should have ended here, but it did not. Have you guys heard of the name and shame technique? It is a management technique that is widely used in organizations to publicly shame someone for a perceived wrongdoing. It was used on me too. The idea is to publicly embarrass a person so hard that they never repeat such a wrong behavior. For starters, my document was circulated to entire leadership. It was very embarrassing. The feelings I journaled was now accessible to everyone in the leadership team. My boss panicked on how to deal with the situation, so he went on informing his colleagues on what happened, and soon all this spread like wildfire. The head of the department, who earlier called me to show me different ways of transferring data, now called to blast me about the things that I've written in the document. I came to office every day. Nobody from the project team spoke to me for a very long time, and nobody gave me any work. So I would come every day, sit for 8 hours, which felt like an eternity, and go back home. After a point, it became so difficult for me to breathe in that space that I resigned. I just wanted to desperately leave that organization. My question to you is, was name and shame really required? Or to what extent is it required? Is it even required when someone has accepted their mistake, apologized profusely, and proven that the information was not maliciously used anywhere? Now fast forward to my new organization, wherein a more serious incident happens to someone else in the team. You know what the head of the department does? She takes this individual confronts her personally and tells her that this mistake doesn't mean the end of her career. In fact, she tells her options of what she can pursue outside the organization because she will have to be relieved from the organization, and then gives her a very respectful exit from the organization. No name and shame was required here. Raise your hands here. Have you never made any mistake? Have you never fallen in love with the wrong person? Have you never taken wrong career turns? How would you feel if you are publicly shamed for it? And this is not just restricted to organizations. You know, Monica Lewinsky fell in love with the ex-president of USA, the famous Bill Clinton love affair that we all know of. She was publicly shamed for it at the tender age of 24. And today she is 40 plus. You know what she says? Not a day goes by where I am not reminded of my mistake, and I feel extremely guilty because with it I lost my self-respect and my dignity. My sister-in-law, who married my cousin brother, divorced him to get married to another person. She was publicly shamed for it in the community. She had to delete all her social media accounts. In fact, she refrained from attending any social events for almost 8 years. Can we not for a moment assume she was going through a terrible time in her marriage? I know my brother. She definitely was. Dear Toastmasters, name and shame can have a very negative impact on someone's morale, and it can hamper someone's self-esteem and mental well-being considerably. On the other hand, compassion and empathy can actually save an individual, especially when it comes from a leader or from a community. So to all the leaders and future leaders sitting here, I ask you a question today. Answer this to yourself. How much would you name and shame someone who's made a mistake in your life? And today, let's begin with Toastmasters to make a more compassionate and an empathetic world for people who've been shamed around us. So if next time you find someone who's going through this, just give them a smile. Ask them if they want to join you for a cup of coffee. And it's okay if you can't help in solving their problem, but you can definitely help in alleviating their misery. Thank you very much.